Alright, trial mob, so it looks like some NAUS reinforcements have shown up in the form of, that's right, the Viper Sharpshooter. As you guys can tell, I did pick myself up 2 of them. I also got myself a Shay. We're going to get to her a little bit later, but for today, let's go ahead and focus on these Viper shooters and see if NAUS is still rolling out some of the dopest stuff coming from Acid Rain. Alright, you guys, let's go ahead and break it down. Alright you guys, so here we have the Viper Sharpshooters, the latest out of the Acid Rain line, specifically from the NAUS, and these guys right here are going to try to make it through the trials to see if they can go ahead and join the Pantheon, the champion. So let's go ahead and get it started so we can see if these guys made it or not. Alright, so to start off with, as per usual, the very first trial will be box art. So let me go ahead and bring one to the side just so we can focus in on one box. So as you can tell on the side, the NAUS logo with 4. I still don't know what that means. I imagine that that has to do with the 4 states that probably are still probably working after basically the post-apocalyptic fallout that they had. And then on the front we do actually get a really nice shot of these guys. I think it's a really nice pose. The gun in hand is ginormous. It looks like he's holding a cannon. The colors, again, I've always said that these guys look really nice, and they do. Now, I remember that last week I was talking about Valdo and how he looks a little bit too simple. Now, here I want to say that this is a little bit more of a dynamic pose for the overall artwork that we're getting here. And then on top of that, you can clearly see that there's some kind of bridge in the background or some kind of, you know, sniper nest up there, and I like that there's a bit more definition of what's happening. Valdo kind of had some stuff happening in the background that was kind of hard to tell what exactly was happening, but I feel like this is a bit more defined, a little bit more dynamic, and for something that's not exclusive, I think this looks really nice. Though I will admit that it's really just him. I think that maybe we could have seen somebody else in the background, but overall I do like what I'm seeing, and from my understanding, these guys are supposed to be fighting in the sandier areas, right? And then on the side we do get Viper Sharpshooter, TA at the bottom, of course. And then here in the back we do get obviously some really nice, just basically the figure on its own. And you know what? Hold on. Let me show you guys this one instead. And there you guys can see, right? Just everything he comes with, the figure itself, backpack, 2 guns, 2 choices of basically headgear, and then the big ass cannon rifle itself. Legalese and everything else right here. Warning, not a toy, obviously, even though we all know that they are. And then, you know, something I never do is I never look at the bottom, but just in case you were wondering, that's what the bottom of all these boxes look like. There's nothing to it, it's just a fold. Obviously, the main point of this is that I think it does look really nice, and I think that they did a little bit of a better job here making this guy look a little bit more dynamic, especially with the gun that he comes with. So for me, this is going to be an easy pass. I think it looks good. It's fine with me. And we're going to go ahead and go over a few other things, of course, but at least for this trial of box art, pass, not a problem. Alright, trial mob, so here we have the figure itself, the Viper Sharpshooter. So let's go ahead and go over a few things. We're going to go over accessories and all that stuff later. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a general look of what he looks like with some of his stuff on. And then of course I'll show you guys more poses with the actual cannon in his hand. It looks phenomenal. So the second trial, as we know, is going to be the actual design of the figure. So let's go ahead and break that down. So I'm actually going to show him bare bones overall, and then I'll show you guys all the other stuff later, because I feel like I kind of go over it twice and there's no reason to. So let's go ahead and check out the figure itself. So the figure itself looks, honestly, I think it looks pretty badass. It's a good looking figure. The color choices, they match throughout. There's definitely some obvious choices here that were made that I think make sense. You know, the browning of the pants so that it looks like, you know, these are supposed to be guys that are supposed to be sand troopers, so that makes sense. The darker burgundy red of the shirt, I do like that. The blue of the belt is the only thing that looks a little off to me, because there's just nothing else on him that's that color. But you know, I think not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't look bad per se, and it does match the helmet. Now, as you can tell, we've gotten this head before with basically anything that's a helmeted figure, basically any of the male helmeted figures that we've gotten from the Argert side, use this head. The Civet Company stuff, the Sentinels, the I forget what the other ones are called off top, but I'll go ahead and grab a few when we get into the comparison so you guys can see. But the head looks perfectly fine. It does look real nice. The eyes look, they've always done a good job on the eyes on this kind of buck right here. There you go. You can tell really nice there. He has a scarf. The scarf looks nice. It's a browner color. It does match the burgundy brown of the rest of the aesthetic, to be honest. I don't know if this is supposed to be correct. Actually, looking at the box art, yeah, looking at the box art, this is correct. So while he does have these two divots right here, only one of them is painted in red, as you guys can tell right there, and that is actually how it's supposed to be. And then the red right there on that pouch, everything else is supposed to be basically that solid, the more solid brown color. But he looks perfectly fine. And then actually, I just realized this. I don't know if you guys can see that. 4 stars and the number 4 on both shoulders. That's actually pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever noticed that before on anybody else. So here we have the back of the vest itself, and again, the vest does match the under color of the, it's not really a, would you call this a helmet? It's not really a helmet. This is more like the undergarb that goes under the helmet. But that looks fine. Again, the belt looks totally fine. Everything, it has that granulated kind of worn down look from Acid Rain, so that's really nice. I think Awesome Action Toys mentioned that the hands on these guys, or should I say the arms on these guys, are extra long. I feel like they're as long as everybody else, but they, I don't know, they do look kind of long, huh? And as we move down into the knee pads look good. Then we get into the boots themselves, and the boots are, I don't know, I don't think we've gotten these specific boots before. I like them. I like that they match everything else. The granulated look all throughout, the nice big soles on the bottom. These definitely look like combat shoes, and I appreciate that. Unlike other figures, I'm not going to mention them, but like other figures that come with some Nike Air Maxes instead of combat boots, so something I'm not a big fan of. And then of course the let's see what else. The hands look perfectly fine. I mean, this is a very good standard looking soldier, and what I kind of like about it, and at the same time don't like about it, is that he does come with 2 pistols and nowhere to hold them, no holsters. I kind of wish he did at least have the cut for it, but because of the way that these are made, if they were going to give him those holsters, they would have had to have put the big blocky ones that would have made him look bow-legged that some of the other Sand Trooper stuff has. I like that he doesn't have that. You can bring the legs as close together or as far apart as you want without any issue of it kind of stopping the articulation. And again, he is a sniper, so it's going to make it a bit easy to get him in all the poses that you want to put him in. So for the most part, I think when it comes to the design of the figure, I don't know if I mentioned the scarf. The scarf does have a hue of blue in there. That's supposed to match this a little better, but I feel like the belt came out kind of light, and it's the same thing with the other figure as well. Let me just go ahead and bring him into, yeah, they're both pretty light. And then both the scarves that are supposed to be a slightly more blue hue ended up coming out a little bit more gray. So that's something that's going to be probably unanimous across the board. So it's just something to note. But I think when it comes to this trial of just the overall design and some of the choices that are put into it, I definitely think that for the base figure, this is going to be a positive, and I think that this is going to be a pass. All right. So I am going to get into the accessories in a second. I want to go through articulation, I think, first. You know what, actually, let's move into the accessories next. So again, pass on this trial for the design of the figure. I think it is a good looking figure all together, but once we see him together with everything, I'll give him one more pass or fail after that. It'll be a little extra plus. All right, so let's go ahead and get into articulation. So this next trial is going to be the articulation, and as you guys know, Acid Rain doesn't really suffer from much articulation problems. I've always made it to be that he does, but they don't. We'll get into it right now though. Okay, so when it comes to the head without the helmet, he can look up basically at the sky, and he can look a little bit down, enough to make it look like he's looking down and not like straight at somebody, but I guess that could be better. And that's, the scarf doesn't get really in the way at all. It's about how far he can go. Obviously he does do a full 360, and the neck moves with him, so that's something to note. I may have just messed that up. Well, that's gonna be a bitch to put back later. It's okay. When it comes to the arms, they're gonna go ahead and do you know, if you put a little stress on them, you can definitely get into a T pose. I'm not going to do that, so that's as far as I want to make him go. So he goes into a fairly, you know, fairly good Y pose. Let's put it like that. I think that's fine. Just short of T. And then when it comes to the shoulders, he does do a full 360. Upper bicep does the same. Single joint at the elbow of his abnormally long arms. I'm starting to see it more. And they sandwich perfectly fine. Not a problem at all. Way past 90 degrees. This is something I like about Acid Rain. They make a really good use of the joint that's there that, you know, they can't really hide it anyway. And then when it comes to the wrist has the pistol grip that goes that far down, which I love. What I've never seen before, and I want to say that this is a first for Acid Rain, unless you guys have something else to prove me wrong. Even if my own videos, maybe I forgot. But on the other hand, the opposite hand, it's the same articulation all the way down to the hand. Now, usually we get a push-up grip on this side, but here we actually get the gunslinger grip, and I don't know, that's different, and I really appreciate it because he does actually come with two pistols, and he can hold both of them the way he would on the other arm the same way. So I think that's pretty badass. Now, I'm not going to do a whole Skellywags with it because Skelly likes to take all his stuff apart, and maybe you guys are going to have to wait for his review to see this part, but basically he does do a full 360 around the waist. There is usually articulation right here, like right in that area where he'd be able to do a little bit more twisting even without the bottom, which I guess I can kind of show you guys right there. So I'm holding the bottom and I'm still able to twist him to the side like that. So there is articulation up there, but I really feel like you don't necessarily, it's not that you don't need it, but with the vest on, it's just not going to make a big difference. And then when it comes to the legs, he does do, I don't remember how far Valdo could go, but I'm pretty sure this is a lot further in the splits. This is, you'll never need more than this. This is absolutely more than enough, unless he's doing like a high kick, but yeah, no, you don't need more than that. And then he does go forward straight to 90 degrees, and of course you can lean the other leg back to make it go up a little further like that. Same thing on the other leg, of course. And then he does have the upper thigh swivel, full 360. And then he has dual jointed legs. So this is going to go, let's see. Yeah, basically it could sandwich itself. No, it's perfectly fine. And I mean, it doesn't look always the best because of, you know, things like that, but it's very hard to cover that up. But at least the knee pad itself stays right in the middle, and I prefer that look over when they, I don't think Acid Rain really does this, but other companies do it where the knee pad is connected to this bottom leg or the top part of the leg and it just kind of juts out. I don't like that. I prefer this nice and flat look to it. I think it's a lot better. And then as we move down to the ankle, it's going to point down. I think Valdo's was a lot further than this, but that's still enough to show, like if he was running or something, you can see that, so it's good. And then it goes up just enough, just enough. It could go further, to be honest. Again, I think Valdo was a little better with that. And then when it comes to the ankle rocker, not a problem. It does a pretty good job. I would say that you could probably, oh, there you go. Shit, I broke his ankle. There you go, guys. And let me go the other direction. Oh, you see it's getting stuck right there. If you push that part in, if you push the outside part of that upper ankle, yeah, not a problem. You can get it full all the way, and then on the other side, it's going to be the same deal. All right, you guys, so when it comes to the articulation for this guy, obviously most of Acid Rain stuff is always going to be a pass. I know what is not a pass. I haven't done a review on it, and I'm not going to tell you guys just yet, but this guy's definitely a pass when it comes to the articulation. All right, you guys, so for the next trial, we have accessories. So I think that this is actually, well, you know what? Let me not jump the gun. Let's just go ahead and talk about everything and show you guys everything. All right, so he does come with a nice array of weapons, but he also comes with a nice array of choices. Whenever you have a backpacked character and they are a regular infantry character, that basically gives you a second unit, right? Because I can have this guy right here, just how you see him, and then I can have this guy right here with a backpack on, and technically we could say that they're two different soldiers on the battlefield. But these specific sharpshooters take it a step further and give you two choices of helmeted options. Well, not helmeted, but headgear. And that's really nice because I bought two and I can have two different ones that look distinctive enough. So let's go ahead and start with that. So we do get a hat, and it's not a hat like the one that we got on, hold on, let me see if I can get that to be more. There we go. It's not a hat like we got on Kelsey. It's not open in the back like this to let the hair out. It's just a fitted cap all the way through. And it looks nice, and I'll show you guys what it looks like on his head. Let me just show you guys that right now. I might as well do that. So you can put it on to him forwards. You can put it on to him backwards. I mean, basically you could have, I don't know, any number of... wow, that really changed the focus. You can basically have it looking forward. You could have it looking backwards. That's a little too low, but I mean, you could adjust to however you want to. And again, technically you could have two of these guys wearing hats, one forward, one backwards, and again, technically it would be a new unique character in its own fashion. So again, there's a lot of versatility with the Viper Sharpshooter that I kind of feel is kind of crazy that the sniper would have this and not your general infantry trooper that you're probably going to buy 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, right? And then we do have this helmet right here. Now, again, this does match that color that we saw earlier, but if you look at this compared to the belt and even the artwork, the belt itself really has that bluish hue, and I feel like they missed the mark a little bit with the other items. This should be a little lighter. This color right here should be a little bit on the lighter side. I feel like it's a little on the dark side in terms of the overall color. And I feel like, oh, sorry guys, and I really feel like this could have been just a little lighter. It came out a little bit more gray than blue. I kind of like the way it looks with the blue hue, but I'll still let it slide. It's still a gray color. It's still supposed to be granulated, and it looks really dope. Let me go ahead and show you guys what he looks like with this one. And then there he is, ladies and gentlemen. He has the helmet on, and yeah, no, it looks good, man. And I kind of appreciate that it doesn't actually hinge. It's just a solid helmet piece. You don't got to worry about anything else, that it's going to become loose or fall off, which has happened to me before. And then I can't tell if you guys can see that, but it's got like a star with a J under it. At least that's what it looks like to me. If anybody knows what that means, let me know, because that's very interesting. Alright, now moving on to the other weaponry that he does come with. So he does come with 2 pistols. We have the first one right here. Now we've seen this one, it came in the Shadow of Asimite, but had I not gotten that one, had I gotten anything else, this would have been the first time that we got this gun, I do believe. Actually no, somebody I think said that this came with the Maritime Camelbot. So this is the second time we're seeing this iteration of this pistol. And what's cool is that we get 2 of them. And it's a very interesting looking gun. And if you look at it, it has 2 holes. So I don't know, does anybody know if this is supposed to be like a pistol with like a pump action shotgun on the bottom? Like, what exactly is this gun supposed to be? Does anybody have any real stats on this? Overall though, I do like the way it looks. It does look really cool, and they can hold it really nicely in hand. I'll show you guys that in a minute, but I really do like those 2 pistols. And then he does get this backpack. Now my only problem with this backpack is 2 things, and I'll show you guys right now. So he has the hole in the back, and he has the peg. And usually these pegs have like a thicker end piece right here, so that when you are able to get it in, let's be mature about this. When you're able to get it in, first of all, it takes a little bit extra pressure to get it in, and once it's in there, it's nice and snug. But this one, because it's just a cylinder, right? It's all the same size. You just kind of push it in, no problem, and then what holds it in is pressure. So it's kind of easy to just kind of pull in and out, and it holds perfectly fine. Let me just go ahead and show you guys. Yeah, I mean, I flung that pretty hard and it didn't come off, so it's just something to note that like it'll hold on perfectly fine. But when you're playing with these figures and you're trying to set them up, you know, put them in their stance or whatever the case may be, you constantly knock it off, so that's just something to note. But overall, I do like the look of the bag all together, you know, secure that bag. And then I don't know why they made it like this, but this is absolutely hard to actually... Those 2 pegs right there, they're supposed to go in both those holes. Like, you see what happened there? I don't understand why here we get these pegs that have these like protruding portions at the very tip, which is what I feel like we should have gotten here. But then these have it, and then it's really hard to get them closed, and then it's really hard to open them back up. So for me, I feel like they missed the mark on that part because the usability makes it very difficult. Basically, once you have it like this, once you have it closed, it's not easy to pull out. And I feel like this is the part that you want to be able to easily open. And then this is the one that you actually want to be able to stay in the back without falling out. So I'm not really sure why they made that decision like that. That's my only real knock. Other than that, the backpack does look perfectly fine. It's all one color with some of that, you know, acid rain degradation to it, that kind of shiny, sparkly look. So yeah, no, it's definitely not bad at all, and it looks good on their back too. So no problems there. And then now finally for the pièce de résistance. So this is going to be the part that's most important. So here we have the sniper rifle, and really I wouldn't even call this a sniper rifle. This is a 50 caliber cannon. I mean, this thing is big in their hands. So we saw this on the, oh actually, you know, you want to know what? I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to pause for 1 second. So I was about to say that we saw this sniper rifle on the Shadow of Assamite first, but actually that's not the case. I got this first, and then my second Shadow of Assamite showed up. And so for the second time, we were able to get this right here, which is the exact same gun, just grayed out. I'm not going to go over this too much because I'm going to go over it if I do my Shadow of Assamite review later, but I did want to give you guys a chance to see that. And then here we have the version, obviously that is the one for the Viper Sharpshooter. So this is huge. It's a really long gun. Let me go ahead and back out a little bit. I mean, this guy is standing, you know, like any of the other acid rain stuff, nice and tall, and this gun reaches from his toe, basically. You know what? Hold on. No, it's definitely shorter. It's definitely a little bit shorter, but it's basically the entire figure. So this is one long sniper rifle. So first of all, I love the coloring on it. I love the stock being brown, the top of the gun being brown. The barrel's cool. It's got the, I forget what you call this, the stand for it. It's got 2 legs. It looks nice. It's not a tripod, it's a bipod. Yeah, the bipod for it looks perfectly nice. I like that boxier look to it. I like that it looks oversized. This looks like a legit sniper rifle. And then I don't know why it comes with this right here, this peg right here, because the only time I've seen those pegs used is for the camel bots. So I don't know if this is their way of saying, hey, in the future we're going to get a camel bot that has this, or who knows what they're going to do, but that is cool to see. And then the actual sights for the gun are off to the right, or I guess if you're looking down the barrel, it would be to the left for your right eye, right? Because it would be on your right shoulder. So that's one thing to note. So that is pretty cool. The only thing I'm going to say about this gun, and I'll try to show you guys when I'm posing the figures, is that because of its shape and bigness and overall blockiness, while you can hold it perfectly fine in their hand, there's kind of nowhere else for them to grab it from. I mean, they can grab it from the stock, I guess, or excuse me, the clip right here. They can kind of grab it from right here if they wanted to, but I mean, ultimately, the only thing that I wish they would have done was put another grip for it somewhere for their hands to be able to grab, because you have to stretch them to some degree, the hands themselves, to be able to grab them, to grab the gun from like under or around it. So I don't want to say that it's necessarily a negative. I just wish they would have thought about that a little bit more, since they were going to make it in the fashion that they basically did. So that's just one thing to note. And sometimes I can kind of get in the way, but again, I'll show you guys in a second. But for me, it's a badass looking gun, and when I saw it in hand, I was like, yeah, this is some real firepower. So overall, for this trial, for the accessories trial, this is definitely a pass, guys. I mean, come on. Literally, you can buy 3 of them, and all 3 of them could have something different. A hat, a helmet, a backpack. I mean, the pistols, the sniper itself. I mean, there's a surprising modularity for a sharpshooter that you're probably only going to buy 2 of. So again, Acid Rain, if you're listening to this, it would be a good idea for the future for you guys to maybe add this kind of stuff onto other figures that are going to be more, purchased in higher volume. But other than that, this is a pass for me. Alright, you guys, so when it comes to this figure, at least this set of figures, I mean, these are really badass overall. Again, I mean, look at this. I have 2 figures here, that are the exact same one. This is how they come out of the box, and look, I mean, if I showed you this and I said, oh yeah, this is the Sharpshooter and the back is the the support shooter, they're two different figures, you'd be like, oh, that's cool, I want them both. But it's actually the same one, and it's really cool that you can make them look this way, and that, you know, that there's a lot of modularity specifically in this one that, again, we didn't really get before. And again, these guys are not named characters. You can have Bob and Jake and Jacob and whoever else you want. You could have 5, 6, 7 of these and have a whole team of sharpshooters, and technically have them laid out just differently enough that they're not all the same figures. So it is really cool overall what they've done with these guys, and I think that the NAUS stuff comes out with some of the coolest stuff in my opinion, and I think this is another set that's going to look good with the other NAUS stuff, and obviously the Sand team and, you know, all the allies that fight alongside with these guys. But definitely in my eyes, this is something to note. And then, as you guys can tell, so he can hold his gun right there, which is fine, right? Maybe if he's shooting from the, you know, the shoulder and not necessarily looking down sight, he could hold it like this. But the only problem becomes when you want to kind of get him, you know, holding it. Well, you can't really do it like that, but when you want to get him holding it kind of looking down sight, it just becomes a little bit harder. You know what? Maybe I was just talking shit earlier. What the hell? Okay, so I finally figured out how he's supposed to hold it. So just so you guys know, he has to hold it like that. You see what I mean? Like if he's upright, he has to hold it kind of canted, and then he can hold it basically up to his eye and holding it with the other side. So that's just something that I learned with you guys literally while making this video. So it is something to note. So that is, again, that is pretty cool actually. So yeah, this actually passes the vibe test for sure. This is really cool. All right, so yeah, as you guys can tell, this is definitely something that I've enjoyed, and I think you guys will too. All right, trial mob. So for this next section, before I get into the last trial, which is value, I will do a size comparison with everything. All right, so let's go ahead and get that. So for starters, we have him next to Valdo. Let me just do a little bit of a close-up. And as you can tell, he is definitely on the, I would say on the taller side of things. You know, Valdo with his helmet and everything, I think is still, I don't know, maybe the slightest bit shorter. And then his buck overall is smaller. I think you guys remember I went over this in last week's episode with Valdo, that Valdo is an older buck. He's a little smaller. I'm pretty sure you can, yeah, I mean, look at that. You can literally see from behind the other shoulders how much, you know, broader they are. So, you know, not a bad thing. They still look great, and if anything, Valdo's just a smaller guy, and this guy's just a really tall sharpshooter. Now here we have him next to Jessie, and as you can tell, Jessie is a female character, so she is a little smaller, as she should be. But as you can tell, I mean, these size really nicely. They definitely look like they're from a similar army, even though they're not from the same kind of regiment, right? Because she is more like the Marines, and this is more the Sand Infantry. But these look perfectly fine together. They look obviously like they're both from the same overall group, and I can't really tell, but it looks like potentially Kelsey's hat is a little bit bigger than his, so just something to note, nothing special. I mean, she does have, I would say, an overall larger head because she has the hair and everything, and these guys are basically bald, so their heads are a little different, but they look the same. They're both broad shouldered. These definitely look really nice together, so definitely, you know, a really nice aesthetic overall. Now here we have him next to Shay, and as you can tell, these two are supposed to be partnered up, or at least I guess, you know, there's no lore behind this, but I imagine that she's either leading them or supporting these guys on the front line. So this is something that is pretty dope, because she comes with a shotgun and pistols, which makes her obviously the close quarter combat, you know, personnel, and then they come with the, you know, sharpshooter guns, the, you know, the big 50 cal and all that, so that's pretty cool. But they size perfectly fine. She looks like she's definitely a part of this team. And then you see some of the same, you know, the brown, and then the red jacket with the red I guess undergarment that they wear. So there's a lot of overlap here that definitely makes them look like they're from the same regiment, and I love seeing that. I love seeing uniformity, so I'm happy that we're seeing it here. And as you can tell, right, this gray up here from the scarf kind of matches the gray that they have here, so maybe they should have gone with this color for both the helmet and the belt. But still, interesting look overall, and they size perfectly well. All right, and now here we have the Shadow of Asimite, which is a Kelsey clone. So this is going to be the same exact size, but at least here you're going to be able to see it without the helmet, or should I say the hat. And as you can tell, she's shorter, but Kelsey has and the Shadow of Asimite both have the same haircut. So they have a much bigger head profile overall because of that. But again, I mean, these look perfectly fine. And just so you can see, now that I have them both right next to each other, that's how large the gun is. So just over her eyes, like more in the forehead, and right up to like his eye, maybe a little taller than his nose. So that's just a good size comparison there for you guys on how big that gun is, and then obviously what they look like next to it. And then to give you a comparison to something that was a larger figure from before, this is what he looks like next to a Reborn Trooper. So the Reborn Trooper is supposed to look a lot bigger than him, obviously, and this looks a bit more in line with realistic, right? Because he's an oversized character and Valdo's a little small compared to this guy. So even if they were to make the Valdo buck, right, all the Omanga bucks maybe just a little thicker, if they were going to do Reborn Troopers in the future, they're not really going to have to do much in terms of the size, because as you can tell with how big they are, that they're obviously a lot larger than you know, your regular 6-foot character would be. All right, Trial Mob, so the last test is going to be the test of value. Now, let me just go ahead and say it. I'm pretty sure you guys already know what the answer is going to be, but these guys have a lot of modularity. They have different guns, which, you know, a lot of other people do, but when it comes to the armor choices, there's plenty here, right? Scarf, no scarf, helmet, no helmet, hat, you know, backpack, no backpack. I mean, the amount of modularity that they have here, you know, backpack, no hat, backpack, no nothing, you know, whatever the case may be. So there's quite a few options here, and it's really surprising that the Sharpshooter has it, because I really doubt that anybody is going to go out and buy, let's say, 6 of the Sharpshooters. Most people most likely bought 1. And some of the people that wanted a few more just in case maybe bought 2, max 3. So I'm really surprised that they gave this guy specifically the most amount of modularity that I've seen before, because I feel that he didn't really need it, but I'm not bitching or complaining at all. I'm very happy that we got it, period. That's obviously really dope. It's just something to note that, you know, this Sharpshooter is not the one that people will buy the most of, right? It's the Rifleman that needs this amount of modularity. So again, Aster Rain, if you are watching this review, that's the one thing I want you to walk away with, that maybe give us some of this kind of modularity on some of the other figures that are more of the regular infantry troopers, and I think that you would have something really gold in your hand, like a real reason for us to buy multiple of a figure like you see here. This is one of the reasons why I'm glad I bought 2, because again, look, they look like 2 very different figures, even though they're basically identical. So again, when it comes to the test of value, this is definitely a pass. All right, guys, so if you did like that, please give me a like, a comment, a subscribe. As you can tell, I do have Shay on the left, and I do need to give her a review, which I'm going to try to do as soon as possible. And I got a few other things that I haven't done a review yet that I would love to give you guys, but the more I see you guys view my stuff, the more likes I get, the more subs I get, the more this makes it worth it for me to be able to take the extra time out of my, you know, busy week to do this for you guys. So I have a lot more other kind of content coming along the way, all kinds of news and reaction videos and all kinds of stuff. So just make sure you guys are tuning in and subscribing and hitting that bell notification so you guys can go ahead and see what it is that I am posting. But until the next feature, I am your host, Nello, and I will see you guys on the next one. Deuces.